Welcome to the MetaView podcast. Hear these non-fungible conversations. They will yield you great knowledge and perspective. But beware, they might also make your brain go boom. So watch your step, because this rabbit hole goes deep. Good luck and have fun. And we are live. Alright. Welcome, karmaticacid, Lauren, or how do you want to be called?
You can call me Lauren.
It's great to have you here, and it's also interesting because you usually used to write the show notes for the podcast, and now you're a guest. So it's kind of awesome.
I was hoping to write the show notes for this one.
And is this the first time that we are actually talking with our voices?
I think it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, there was one moment when you were in the Crypto Commons gathering, and I was on a call with Griff, and you came onto the screen, and we had a very short moment of hello.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. There's still a bunch of people that I've been collaborating for like 2 years now that I still haven't met ever.
Mm-hmm. I know it's like that in Giveth too. Our team is all over the world, and yeah, I hope we can all meet in some place at some time.
Yeah, definitely need more in-person stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, a lot of our team is going to ETH Denver in February. I think there's going to be quite a crew of Givethers over there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of everyone from Ethereum there.
Yeah, are you coming?
I'm kind of jealous. No, I'm not. Going there from Pula is like a 40-hour flight with 3 layovers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like when I decide to go to Denver, it will be like I will spend a few weeks on the East Coast first, and then go onwards.
Yeah.
Because even to New York, it took me like 16 hours or something like that.
Oh man. Yeah, that's crazy. It's because it doesn't seem like it would be that far.
Yeah, we just have a shit airport.
No. Oh.
Yeah, from like a 50,000 people city. So there's not many direct flights to anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that a lot of people will be at ETH Barcelona.
Yeah, actually, a lot of our crew. It's challenging for some members of our crew to go to the United States because of visa restrictions. They're from like countries of Latin America, and they need to apply and do this whole crazy process. So Barcelona is actually more attainable to most people, and we also have the Giveth home in Barcelona too. So it's like, I don't know if you've ever been to the Giveth home, but it's like a super open, welcoming place where like lots of great blockchain for good people can come and just crash and hang out. So I think the ETH Barcelona is going to be an even bigger, more fun adventure.
Yeah, especially with the place that you actually have. It's really awesome. No, I haven't been there, but yeah, Griff told me that I'm welcome to come.
Yeah, that would be so. Are you going to go to ETH Barcelona?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So then we'll get to meet in person there.
Oh, you're going too? Nice.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. ETH Denver and then ETH Barcelona after that, and some point in Costa Rica and some point in Ecuador.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, we've been chatting, but let's get into the stuff that we came here to talk about. Do you want to jump straight into that? Do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump into GIVeconomy stuff, but I'll give myself a little bit of an intro. Well, so I'm Lauren, and I mostly found in the Giveth space, but I dabble a little bit in the token engineering commons and a little bit here in MetaGame, mostly just with the show notes. And yeah, and I've been working in the space for a little over a year. Actually, about a year and a half ago, I didn't know anything about crypto at all. But now I dove in really deep, and then I got super interested in just all the ways in which like the tools that we're creating can be used to like revolutionize the world and change things and make things a lot better. I live in Costa Rica, and I came here because I wanted to learn about organic farming and permaculture, and I was in a permaculture community, and I connected with someone at this permaculture community who was working with Giveth, and she kind of introed me into it, and it was super appealing to me because it combined like my love of technical workings with my love of empowering people and like creating more freedom and like just a lot of things that are happening in the DAO space, like supporting each other and uplifting each other and working together to like create networks and then build tools on top of tools and collaborate so that we can like ultimately solve a lot of like the world's problems, like whether they're like monetary economic problems or like environmental physical problems. And so I thought it was just so cool and exciting. I studied mechanical engineering way back in another time, and so I really liked, you know, technical problem solving. I used to work as like a project manager building ice making equipment, but I didn't like it because it felt really soulless. And so like working in the DAO space is like super appealing to me because it's like I get to stretch my brain in all the nice ways that it feels cool to do, like to solve problems, and then also it's really value aligned. So that's how I got into Giveth. And yeah, and then I just like dove headfirst into Giveth and ended up taking on a lot of things, a lot of responsibilities. And like with the GIVeconomy that we just launched on December 24th, I was doing product management, and I was like organizing devs, also our communications lead. So I run the Twitter, and I write all our articles, or not all our articles, but I write a lot of our articles and the documentation and just kind of figuring out the ways in which we're going to communicate things. So yeah, I got pretty heavy into it in this past year. It's almost like sometimes hard to take myself out of my computer, but I'm also having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Sounds like a wild journey. Kind of stumbled into it, and now you're so deep into it that you can't come out anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of part of my personality to really get into what I get into, and the things that I care about, I really put myself into it fully. So yeah, so I mean, it was really nice to find Giveth and just like find a community of people like all over the world, super value aligned, and the whole like Giveth intention is to build the future of giving, and it's like, and also then like revolutionize giving, so it's no longer giving and losing. It's like the concept of altruism. Like all of us are kind of like exploiting altruists, or not all of us, but the nonprofit industry is kind of like exploiting altruists and not and expecting that people are just going to give of themselves so that they can take care of like environmental problems or other different issues, and like without expecting anything in return. So it's like the Giveth ecosystem is like creating systems in which we can both give and receive, and eventually like transform the platform and like this donation space from a place where you're like giving and losing, but rather a place where you're like investing in projects that you care about, and then seeing them evolve into DAOs of their own, and then having their own governance structures, and then it's like have their own tokens, so you can like invest in nonprofits or invest in for good projects that you care about, and then see them succeed and then also benefit and get rewarded. And it's like changing the entire way that we think about donations and philanthropy and giving and even nonprofits.
Awesome. I haven't met many people from Giveth, but anyone I met who has spoken with this sort of fire that you're talking now with.
Yeah, it's a really great bunch of people, and yeah, really, really a great bunch of people in all over the world. And now with launching the economy, we're getting even more people coming in who are just interested and aligned with the mission and coming up with just like great ideas and like wanting to take on roles as project managers. And it's really cool and interesting to see the way everything developed. Like I'm pretty new in the DAO space. I mean, I don't know, everything moves so fast. Is a year mean that I'm new? It feels new, but I feel like DAOs are really new. So but like now we have the Give Garden. So you probably know the Gardens framework. It was created by OneHive, and basically like, you know, token holders can vote on proposals and allocate funding to them that are in line with the mission of the DAO. Yeah, we have so many people coming to our Discord and just like talking about like projects and things that they want to pursue, like whether it's like token swaps, or we have people coming in talking about how they want to translate a lot of our content into Spanish or into Portuguese so that it can reach a wider audience. And it's like all of these different ideas percolating, and then there are actually things that we can start funding, like with the Give Garden. Like people can create a forum proposal, and then that turns into a proposal in the garden, and then token holders can vote, and then funding can go to projects. And it's really cool that it's like from a small team, it kind of expands out with like the tools we have in Web3. It like expands out so that people can be building all kinds of different projects moving forward.
Oh yeah. And this also, like, this was kind of just put together, like the whole thing, or was some of it live? Like, I'm not sure. Did the gardens exist before you launched the token? I guess not, because you need the token to vote. But I opened the link that you shared, and it was like, oh, I didn't know any of this stuff exists. And it looks so great.
Yeah, actually, we launched it as like a huge package altogether. Like we launched the GIVeconomy has 5 parts. There's the Give Drop, which is like the airdrop that we gave to our trusted seed, and actually a lot of metagame players got the Give Drop. So if anyone's listening to this podcast and haven't checked it out, they should go to giveth.io/claim and go claim their Give Drop. So we have the Give Drop. Then we have the Give Garden, which is the One Hive Gardens where people can vote that I was just talking about with conviction voting and create proposals for funding. And then we've got the Give Farm, which is liquidity mining program. And we've got incentives for providing liquidity and staking on mainnet and on XDAI. So this is like the third part. Then we have Givebacks, which is basically anyone who donates to verified projects on Giveth can get Give tokens in return. It operates in like 2-week rounds, and right now we're in the middle of our first round. It ends on Friday, so anyone who's been donating since we launched the token on December 24th until January 7th to verified projects can get Give tokens back, and then like those Give tokens can be used in the garden and the farm and the rest of the ecosystem. So that's like the fourth part. And then the fifth part is the Give Stream, and the Give Stream is, I mean, really the function of the Give Stream is that like as the Give economy grows, so does the governance power of the stakeholders and the people who have been supporting Giveth. So anytime that you participate in the Give economy, whether you're providing liquidity and staking, or if you're giving and getting givebacks, you get a stream, which is a give per week flow rate. So every week you're getting more Give tokens. And the really cool thing about the Give stream is that your Give stream flow rate can never go down. It can only ever go up. So everybody who got the Give Drop also has a Give stream flow rate. And then as they do other things with their Give tokens, participate more, they can just get more and more of a flow rate. Like their Give per week flow rate increases. Or if they don't do anything and they just claim their Give Drop, they're still going to get the Give stream. It's just going to be the same number forever until, well, not forever, but until December 23rd, for the next 5 years, until December 23rd, 2026. That's when the Give stream stops flowing.
Was there any specific reason why then?
Well, we decided to do 5 years because, I mean, it was an interesting conversation trying to figure it out. It was like, how long do we want to have this, like, expanding Giveverse? Like, the expanding Giveverse is the meme we're working with. It's like, the Giveverse starts out small, and then it grows in all directions. So it's like anyone who's participating in the Give economy gets more and more Give tokens, but then also more Give tokens flow into the Give Garden Treasury, which is the common pool for funding proposals. More Give tokens flow to our Give DAO, which is the DAO that we have for paying salaries for the team, and so like more Give flows to everywhere. Like even more Give flows to the Givebacks program, more Give flows everywhere. So it's like over time, the Giveverse expands, and the whole purpose of having this kind of like slow releasing of Give tokens is to just give the Give economy like a chance to grow and build over time. So it's not like the entire maximum ever supply of Give is not like distributed all at once, but rather flows out over time. And we chose 5 years. It was like a community decision, but mostly because we wanted to make sure that the stream flows through the next potential bear market and into the next potential bull market. And we were thinking like 5 years is a good full cycle time, like that we're pretty confident that we'll be getting back into the next bull market before the stream finishes.
Right. Makes sense. And how long have you been working on all this? Like, was there like a moment when this idea came together, or was it sort of like kind of planned from years ago? Or how did that happen?
Well, I mean, I talked with Griff a lot, and he was saying that this actually Giveth wanted to have a token many years ago, and they even launched a token, and it was like, I think, GTH, but it's called the old Giveth token now. If you were to look it up on Etherscan, it doesn't have any liquidity. It's not like really, it's not like the Give token is now, but it was always this idea that like people who donate to projects should get rewarded with governance over the DAO. Like people who donate to projects should get rewarded another token. So it's like the entire concept of the Givebacks program, like donating to projects and then getting Give tokens and then being able to use those Give tokens to participate in the DAO was like from a long time ago. I mean, Giveth I think has been around since 2016, and I'm not exactly sure when the first like Give tokens were created and these ideas are starting to percolate, but it was only, I think, I wasn't around in the crypto space in those days, but I heard that in those days it wasn't as cool to have your own token. It wasn't like as reputable. It seemed very scammy to create your own token. But now, like a lot of big projects and a lot of DAOs, it's like very important to have your token because it's like the exit to community and it creates a lot of value for the project. So we started like with the Give token and all of the parts that I was describing before. Like when I first got into Giveth, like back in November of 2020, in November of 2020 when I started at Giveth, that was when we started brainstorming, like what are the things that we need for the token to be successful? Like what is the utility? Like what are the structures that we want to have? And we started kind of specking out the Give token and the GIVeconomy, and then it kind of grew and grew, and then we decided that we wanted to, when we launched the Give token, to launch with everything. Like, not everything. Actually, there's a lot of really cool future plans for the Give token that we didn't launch with that are, like, coming up. We have already in the works. But we wanted to launch at least with the liquidity mining, with the Givebacks program, with the Give stream, yeah, and with the Give drop.
Okay, cool. Kind of a random, unrelated question. Was there any progress on the Ecovillage in Costa Rica? How is that going?
Oh yeah, there is a community here actually, which has a project on Giveth. They're a verified project called Diamante Bridge, and Diamante Bridge Collective, and it's cool. Like they're Danivel, who is she used to work a lot. Well, she still works in Giveth, or she works with Giveth, and was involved with the Common Stack, and she's actually the one who introduced me to Giveth, and she's really passionate about this project here. It's like land stewardship, and they do a lot of community offerings, and they have a lot of like events and like seed swaps, and they're doing a lot of permaculture and like water filtration systems, and they have a lot of different people here who are really passionate about taking care of the earth and the environment. And yeah, it's really cool because there's a crew of us on the Giveth team who are here in Costa Rica. There's about 5 people who live in the same neighborhood. It's sort of a funny, like, in the middle of nowhere neighborhood. It's like you have to drive like half an hour on this bumpy road that you don't think is going to go anywhere, and there's a bunch of people who work at Giveth who live there. So we all live in this area, and we work with Giveth, and the Diamante Bridge Collective is like pretty connected with some of our team members just because we're like living in the same community and we participate in some of the events. It's really interesting to see like one of our verified projects on Giveth, like we can actually see like how they're using the funds, and we can actually like kind of see the way that Giveth is also like supporting the intentions and the dreams of these people who are trying to do right by the earth and do right by the communities that they're part of.
Right, very cool. Yeah, we had some people. Danny Bell was also on our call, I think, and besides Tommy, there was one more person that came to talk about the Ecovillage like a long time ago when we were just getting started, I guess.
Yeah, Diamante Bridge has been, I think they've had the property for a few more years, but in the last year, like since I came here and started working with Giveth, they've really also grown a lot as well, and they've been building like bamboo structures, and they have a gathering space now, and a recycling center. One thing, I'm really passionate about this too, is like zero waste lifestyle. And they have a resource center, so they're taking plastic, like soft plastic and hard plastic, and packing them into bricks, and then using those bricks to build on top of. Like you can use them as like the foundation for a compost toilet. It's like you pack bottle bricks and then you pour concrete over them, and then you have that as a compost toilet. And so it's like a really great way of like repurposing plastic and repurposing waste. Here in Costa Rica, like the systems for waste management aren't as built up as they are in some other places in the world, and most of the time the garbage that people produce just gets burned, and it just gets burned. Like, whether people just burn them from their houses, there's no waste collection services, there's no there's no real good systems for recycling. So I always try to not create a lot of waste, and I really like the resource center, and like living here in the community is like one way in which this like verified project on Giveth benefits me is that I pack a bottle brick, like I jam all my plastic into a 6 liter water bottle, and I just like jam it all in there with a broom handle until it's like super packed. It takes me a few months to fill a bottle, and then I bring it to the resource center, and then they use those to build other stuff at the Diamante Luz community.
Nice. Very cool. It sounds like where we should go. I mean, not necessarily that space specifically, but like the whole space in general. Like, we are so focused on like all these technologies and all the like. There's so much about the virtual worlds, all the metaverse and this and that. But I think yeah, we should do this sort of stuff. Like yeah, thinking about the whole systems and like how to live well, how to live in balance with nature, and all of that, rather than just do tech and live in a big city.
Yeah, I completely agree. I came into Giveth as kind of like radicalist hippie sort of rejecting society because I'm like, oh, this isn't working for me. And then the life that I was pursuing, this one that was in more harmony with nature. And then I got into the tech space again because I realized that like what we're building in Web3 can like benefit that lifestyle a lot. And it's like we can create system. It's like this bridging between kind of on the ground hippies and then smart people in the metaverse. And it's like I want to be a bridge as well for this connection. And I think this is like really something I like about Giveth too, is because it's like Giveth's focus is to bring up and empower on the ground projects who are making change like for their environment and for their world, and empower them with the tools that we're building in Web3 in like a bit by bit kind of way, so that we can actually all benefit from that too. It's like, because we also, like, everybody, we need to breathe, and we need to eat the food that the earth provides, and we need to like have healthcare systems that enable us to be like healthy and well, and even like emotional support, like being able to like take time to rest and not in this like push environment. It's like they're all pieces of this holistic lifestyle. And I think like creating a bridge between like all of the cool tools that we're creating and all of the cool tools that on the ground that people are creating on the ground is like super important. Actually, I could segue really nicely into the slippery slope for nonprofits or Giveth if you're down.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, they want to go back to Giveth.
So yeah, I mean, it's really related. So something that we've been discussing a lot at Giveth, and I talked about it in another podcast recently as well, is Giveth, one of our missions is to really empower on-the-ground projects with these Web3 tools. So it's like, to create a project on Giveth right now, anybody can do it, and to log in, I don't know if you've heard of Taurus Wallet, but Taurus Wallet is basically like you can create a wallet really easily, and you just like log in with Facebook or Twitter or Google or whatever it may be, and then it auto-generates you an address, like an Ethereum address, and then you can start raising funds for your project. So it's like if you want to create a project on Giveth and you are super new to crypto, you could just log in with Taurus and then select Twitter or whatever it is that you have, or Facebook, and then you have a wallet address, and then your project is on Giveth, and then people can start donating to you, and then it's like, it's this first taste of like, oh, okay, now I have a wallet address, and like, then what is a wallet address? And then over time, like if a project starts to raise a little bit more funds, if donors are looking at their project on Giveth and starting to give to their project, they raise a certain amount of funds, and they're like, oh wow, I have some thousands of dollars in here. How do I get that money? And then this is where like the bridge starts to come, and it's like, well, maybe you want to move those funds from a Taurus wallet to a MetaMask wallet, because then, I mean, if you get locked out of your Google, or if you get locked out of your Twitter, you still have access to your funds. So then it's like the next step. It's like bridging people from the Web2 login to being able to have a MetaMask address and then raise funds with MetaMask, and starting to like get into a little bit more of the crypto space. And it's like bit by bit pieces. And then, yeah, and then like over time, like the next step, like we have the Givebacks program, So it's like donors giving to projects get Give tokens back. And with our future vision for the Give economy, we eventually want to have the ability for donors who like certain projects to stake their tokens behind projects, and the projects who are basically have more tokens staked behind them, their donors get a greater percentage of the givebacks pool. So it's like staking Give tokens on projects, like kind of with conviction voting, and then your conviction for the project, like your vote for that project, grows over time the longer you leave your tokens there, and then whoever donates to those projects later get more Give tokens. And so then it's also encourages more donations to the projects that donors are selecting and donors are agreeing to. And then like the next step after that is there's the ability for the people who are staking Give tokens to opt in to initialize a bonding curve for the nonprofit, like for the project that they're staking tokens on. And then when anybody donates to those projects, part of the givebacks program, it's like Give tokens will go into the project's bonding curve, and then the donor will both get Give tokens back, and they'll also get tokens from that project. And so then eventually, like projects that succeed on Giveth, projects that are raising funds on Giveth, projects that become popular with donors and then the community support, Give holders are able to stake on those projects, then they get their own bonding curve. And then people who start to donate to those projects aren't just donating and just losing, like giving and not getting anything in return. They're getting project tokens back. And then the project can do anything with their bonding curve. They can create a DAO, and they can have a garden of their own, and they can have like their donors have the ability to vote on how they want proposals to mold and change. So it's like one of the major visions for Giveth is like this starting out by like gently hand-holding projects coming onto the platform, starting to get curious about crypto, starting to get curious about Web3, and then bit by bit getting empowered with more and more tools that like spark their curiosity and their interest. And then in this way, we kind of like, we bring all the cool things that we're building into DAOs onto projects on the ground, like the community who's here, who's building this resource center. And then it just benefits everybody, you know, it benefits even the whole planet. And no longer do we rely on just altruists and nonprofits to give of themselves in order for us to, you know, have clean water or have clean air to breathe, but we can actually make everybody in the system be rewarded and benefit more. It's like creating collective universal abundance.
You're right. And onboarding people to crypto. And wait, this is all live already, or is this like a general idea?
This is the dream. We're starting with givebacks. So what's live right now is givebacks. It's like, you know, I think this like education process, it's really, really great if we can like get people into ideas at a time. Because also there's so much happening in the space that like I don't think most of us can keep track of what each other's projects are doing, even though we're like value aligned. But it's like we're just introducing little bits at a time. And so right now what's live is the givebacks program. Donors can give to verified projects, then donors get Give tokens back. And then they can use those Give tokens to play with Giveth. They can vote in the Give garden, and they can start doing like Give farming. And actually it's really cool. We with our Give drop, we also gave Give tokens to projects on the platform. We gave tokens to donors who were donating to projects on the platform before. And for many people, it's almost their first time exploring liquidity mining, exploring like farming. So it's also really cool. People start to understand about like providing liquidity through a token, and then they understand like they can earn rewards for that. And it's like these kind of like cool like DeFi tools as well that can like really create like more abundance and like and create more opportunity. But I love the fact that like with the Give drop and the GIVeconomy launch, like we're bringing more donors and more projects into the space with like their curiosity, because they realize like that they can actually be creating more with what they have in that way, like using the tools in Web3.
You're right.
Yeah, but the whole everything I was talking about before with the projects having their own bonding curves, this is part of the future vision. So with the GIVeconomy launch, we allocated some funding to projects that we know we want to pursue. And if you or anybody listening to this, I have the launched post. I wrote the Welcome to the GIVeconomy Medium article, and it talks a little bit about these future plans in that article as well. So there's like a paragraph on each one. And GIRVs is like that final ultimate vision. It's like GIRVs, mic drop. And so it's like GIRVs is the bonding curves for nonprofits, bonding curves for good projects on the DApp. And yeah, that's really where we're moving towards. And yeah, like using also some of the tools that are being created by the Token Engineering Commons and the Commons Stack like the Token Engineering Commons is about to launch their DAO, like their commons. They're doing the commons upgrade. People like invested money, the hatchers invested money, and then they're going to create a bonding curve and then mint TEC tokens with that bonding curve. And as a community, the Token Engineering Commons did this collaborative economics. They were collaborating to design the bonding curve. They created this dashboard for it too, called the Commons Configuration Dashboard. And it's like this tool from the Token Engineering Commons, it's like what we want to be using like for other communities to be able to design their own bonding curves. So it's like we have like Giveth and the Commons Stack and the Token Engineering Commons, they're all like super related and coming at things from like different angles. Like Giveth is starting to empower donors and give tokens to their donors and launch the Give Garden. The Token Engineering Commons is building these tools so that communities can collectively design their own economies. And then over time, like when we get to the point where we're like launching the GIRVs system, projects will be able to use this dashboard and have it like, you know, made better by user experience. Because like right now it's like people who are like heavy in the crypto space are like learning about this dashboard and all these different parameters. And so it's like over time we want to make it easier for people to design their own economies. Yeah, and basically kind of be using that dashboard as well, or tools like that from the Common Stack and the Token Engineering Commons to for good projects on Giveth.
Right. Bonding curves for everyone. I love the dashboard.
Yeah, did you get to play with it at all?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
I think this is such a cool tool. I worked with the team on some of the com stuff and some of like user testing, and I worked a little bit on the dashboard. Mostly I work in Giveth, but I dabble a little in the TEC, and the dashboard was something I had a lot of fun contributing to, and like the end product I think is so much fun. And we were having these param parties and getting people in and teaching them about different parameters, and it also really helped me understand things a lot better too. Yeah, just being part of like the process of explaining things, it like really solidifies how it is in my brain. And then, yeah, I think it's like a really important skill in crypto and in Web3 to be able to translate complex ideas into words that basically anyone can understand and anyone is interested in understanding too, because there's so much potential here in the metaverse. But I want everybody to like it. You know, I want my mom to think it's cool. I want my mom to see the value.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of demand for the people who can communicate these insanely complex things to normal people.
Yeah. In MetaGame, you guys are doing a lot of onboarding and a lot of like work trying to communicate to people about like what you're up to in the DAO space, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with a lot of these things is that like you need some background knowledge to understand them. Like you can't have people go directly to understanding bonding curves, like if they don't even understand what tokens are. So with a lot of people, you really have to start from zero.
It's true. It was really hard, I think, I found it really hard coming out of space trying to understand what the heck was happening. I didn't understand anything. But persistence and interest, I think like really something very motivating for people is when they start to see the potential for it. That's why I like this process with Giveth. It's like you log in with Facebook and you know it's easy for everyone to do. Everyone logs in with Facebook all the time and they don't think about it. And then suddenly they're like, oh, there's some thousands of dollars in here. Oh, and then they're interested, you know, then they want to know what do I do with this? And then it's like, then there's that motivation to like get to understand things a little bit more. So I think aligning interest and curiosity and trying to like, you know, put these sparks along the learning pathway is a really powerful tool.
Yeah, definitely sounds like the right way to go, like having having people inside first and instead of like, oh, you're getting started, like create a wallet right away.
Yeah. And then they're like run by intrinsic motivation. It's like they want to know. And for me, I mean, the reason I ended up here, the reason I ended up in the space is because I wanted to know. I got curious. I started to see like that there was value, and then I worked for like many months, like, and I didn't even really realize I could get paid to work in DAO spaces. I don't know. I thought everyone was working for free. It was like I was just like, and I was trying to learn, and I was reading all these articles, and I did it because I wanted to, and it was interesting to me. And I think that this is how so many people come into the space, and if we can make things interesting to more people, then we'll get more people interested and motivated by themselves. It's a lot to take in, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Drinking from a fire hose is my favorite analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great comparison. And yeah, you really need to be interested, like you need to be hooked in some way to like really dig in like that. There has to be that click. But yeah, it's easy. Like at least in some places, like you see in the MetaGame, you just started writing show notes and you just started getting paid.
Yeah, that was so cool.
You didn't have to go to an interview, like submit a proposal or anything. You just do it, get it, and that's it.
Yeah, man, that's so great, man. And it was so cool to get involved in metagame in that way too. And there's so many ways for people to get involved. And I think like for me, doing the show notes in metagame was like has been so valuable for me to, like I just said a minute or some time ago. We all kind of sit in I sit in my own corner of the DAO world. I like sit in the Giveth and the TUC. Like I just sit over there and I don't really go explore anywhere else. But then I listen to the MetaView podcast and then I learn a little bit about like what other people are doing and like what other people are interested in. I even get to know different people and I don't know them in person yet, or I don't even really know them in DMs, but it's like I'm like, yeah. Like I know Penguin. He's doing all these cool things. Like I listened to him on at least 2 interviews. Yeah, and then it's really cool because I feel like this is like a really great way to keep us connected. And by coming into metagame and like expanding my knowledge of what's going on in other DAOs, I also like getting supported and getting paid in seats for that. And I'm like, wow, cool. And then I mean, I just hodl my seats. Like I'm like, this is great. This is like a great bonus, and I'm like now part of this community, and I'm super happy to be part of it as well.
Awesome, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I wish we had more people like you. And people are often like, oh, I don't know what I could do. And then you tell them, oh, hey.
I know. This is something I'm like a little feeling, just a little concerned-ish about. Like with the economy launch, we got all these new people coming into Giveth, and they've got cool ideas and they care, and I think they could do good stuff, but it's so many people come in with an idea and then they tag me and then they're like, hey, maybe you could help me pursue this idea. And I just really don't have the bandwidth, even though I think it's a great idea. And it's like, I'm like, you pursue the idea, like run with it. Like, and I think like, yeah, it either takes like very strong leaders and like strong product manager, project manager type people to like come in and then just like push forward with like full speed, or we need like some kinds of systems to like make it more comfortable for most people to come in. And I think this like community moderation, community management is like such an important role in DAOs too. Like the people who talk to the new people coming in and help them get a little oriented.
Yeah, it's a super important role. Have people introduce other people and understand. But it's also kind of like, yeah, they spend all this time on people and helping them, and then those people disappear. So it's kind of an annoying role.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. And that's, yeah, then it's really disappointing for the people who put the effort into that too.
Thinking more and more how this stuff should get automated more, like not automated, but like having a clear path for people to join. Okay, it goes like, okay, so interested, we have an idea, what kind of idea? Okay, so you want to do it, just start doing it. You want to become a leader of this idea, like just do it. Like there's this short guide that will tell you how to run a project, and just do it. Like scaling leadership, or just not just leadership, but even helping people pick things up, not necessarily lead, but just do things.
I'm thinking it's maybe also in some way very cool that, I don't know, I wish that there was sort of a lower barrier for entry, that it was maybe a little easier for people, but in some ways it's also really cool. And I think, I mean, growing up, or not growing up, but like where I am living right now, watching kids growing up in this community, I think, I don't know, you know, when I was a kid, I wasn't really forced into like situations where I had to like push to be a leader and like push to see things through. I don't know, or maybe I was. I think in my family I was, so I have that kind of like natural tendency. But it's like we go to school and we're told to do this and then we're told to do that, and we're really kind of like handheld and pushed in many ways. And I think it's interesting to think about like the ways in which we can, I don't know, educate children in a different way, where we teach them to like have more authority. I was just watching my friend's daughter over the weekend. She's 11 and she's super, super cool. I like her so much. She's like my best kid friend. And I gave her some chocolate and she asked me like if she could have some of the chocolate. Like I gave her the chocolate and then later she asked me if she could have a bite of the chocolate. And then I'm like, I mean, if you want. She's like, but I have to ask you because you're in charge of me. And I'm like, no, you're in charge of you. You're in charge of you. We're just hanging out. And like, yeah, I think it's a tough balance, like as parents and as like leaders of children or like role models. I don't want kids to just like eat chocolate all the time, but I think if we like, don't restrict and maybe like empower and like kids make their own decisions, then we'll end up with like grown-ups who are able to come into situations who are like, I see what needs to get done and I'm gonna do it. Like I like they have like the self-trust to push things forward.
Yeah, yeah, it's super important, and it's kind of sad. Like the the greater like people. Yeah, when I started metagame, I expected a lot more people to be autonomous, and they're just not. That like most people expect to be told what to do and expect to be handheld, and yeah, that's that's permission for everything, you know. Yeah, you need to help people, empower people, and get them to become more autonomous, and
Yeah, it's true.
definitely a challenge. We have it a part of the meta manifesto. Like one section is called "Be Autonomous."
Nice. Yeah, I know. I mean, luckily, you need like one autonomous person out of every 8 or so, because like the one strong leader can lead the other team of 8. If the other people have good skills, they just need one person to organize it. I think like project managers is something that we need a lot of in the DAO space. Like we're looking for project managers in Giveth to take on like these cool projects that are arising. People who will come in and will be like, yeah, I'm going to drive it forward. Because we've got a lot of cool people too. Like, and then there's lots of people like who come in who are like cool designers. Like, hey, I'm a designer and I do all this cool work, and it's like, wow, that's great. And they just need someone to ask them to make a banner or design a T-shirt.
Yeah, I completely really underestimated how much project managers are needed. Like the whole space kind of like, oh, decentralized organizations, we don't need project managers, blah blah blah. But it's kind of maybe even the most important role with all these people like just walking around freelancing. You kind of really need somebody to like make sure things happen, somebody to be in charge.
Totally. I think the concept of decentralization is it's like really, it's almost like it means different things to different people. And like the way I'm seeing like decentralization as something good and valuable is like when it's no central point of failure. Like it's like the whole, like all of this whole DAO won't crumble if like one person doesn't do something, or if one person doesn't show up. But it's like, I think having many smaller teams, like with leaders, like it's like if you have like 8 different leaders or 10 different leaders, then it's like we can kind of scale that way and like create things more modularly. So in this way that it's decentralized. But I even think, I mean, that we can borrow things from just traditional organizations. Like in some ways, I don't like necessarily a hierarchy, but some form of hierarchy, kind of. Like you have somebody who's sort of like leading and managing other people who are doing different roles, and like everybody's opinion matters. But it's like sometimes we spend so much time on like process and making decisions because we're trying to be too decentralized. I think decentralization is important, but that we have to create like a good combination of things. Otherwise it just becomes chaos and nothing ever gets done.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. We were just talking about this yesterday with one of the guys from MetaGame about this sort of problem, like having too many cooks in the kitchen and too many people who are like, oh, we should do this, we should do that, but not actually pushing things forward. Like most people just want to come and share ideas and talk, but then the person who is in charge of pushing the project forward just becomes frustrated because there are all these people just sharing ideas, but nobody wants to do things, and it just prevents them from doing things because then they need to listen to all of these ideas and take them all into consideration, discuss. It's kind of just more efficient to have one person like be able to make decisions.
Yeah, I know, it's true. I wonder if part of it is also like people really want people want to be heard, just like as a normal human thing. Like we all want to be heard. We want our ideas to be heard and valued and validated in some way. And I think like this is like where like another component of the cultural build or like the community care side of DAOs becomes really important too, and something that a lot of DAOs I think are doing well and like putting an emphasis on that's like different from like traditional organizations. Hey, have you heard of Gravity in the TC? Probably have.
Oh yeah, the conflict resolution.
Yeah, it's like conflict resolution, but it's I think part of conflict resolution is also like creating space so that conflicts don't arise and like creating a space that like people can also be heard. So it's like we can have multiple different calls. Like we have calls where there's a little bit of like a structure of like one person is like the go between and like can take in some different ideas and then sort of have some authority on like making a decision. And then we have like other calls where it's like people are able to voice their concerns in like a more loose, like more chaotic kind of way or more open way. Sometimes I think some conflicts that arise are really just because people didn't really get to say what they wanted to say. And then once they say it, it's like then the conflict disappears.
Yeah, we had Juan come and present about the Gravity a few months back. It's a great program.
Yeah, Gravity is really cool, and I think it's going to get cooler. Like, I think it's still growing and with different people coming in and different ideas. And there's a lot. I mean, in the community that I'm part of here, there's a lot of, like, nice things that the hippie communities do that I'd love to bring, like, more into the DAO space. We actually had one girl who was leading calls a little while ago in Giveth, and at the beginning of the call, she would do, like, a little meditation and pause. It would be like a pause, and everybody takes some deep breaths and closes their eyes and listens to the sounds in their environment and in their atmosphere, and then it's really, really like slow melting into the call in a way, and it was really cool because I practice yoga every day and I meditate most days except when I'm working too much, but the days that I do are super, super value to have that like time and like space to just like clear my mind. And if we like bring some of these tools, like, oh, let's meditate for 3 minutes at the beginning of a call, it changes the whole structure of the call. Like people feel more unified, people are more aligned, and they also are like more connected with themselves, and it's really cool. It's really cool how we can create this merging.
You're right. Yeah, I think it's in holacracy. I'm not completely sure, but also like starting calls with like checking in, like personally, like how are you feeling, what frustrates you, things like that, instead of just jumping straight. I think it gives more context into why somebody might be saying that they're saying, things like that, but just like, yeah, allows us to connect on a more personal level.
I love that. We at Giveth we do intentions distractions at most calls, which is kind of nice. Like I like the intention. Usually people's intentions are like what they want to accomplish in the call, and then their distractions is like, oh, but my mom is here, and she's like making a big ruckus in the background, so I don't know what. And that's even a nice thing, like a little glimpse into everyone's personal life. It's also kind of funny sometimes. Like I live here in Costa Rica, and we live next to some cows, and there's tons of cows in the field, so often it's like, I mean, Griff is on calls in the bar room, and he'll stop and be like, I'm distracted by, all of these cows frolicking outside. And it's just like, it's fun. You get like a little glimpse into people's lives and the connection. And yeah, we definitely, like in Giveth, I think Giveth, part of Giveth was using holacracy, and then they were moving more towards sociocracy and some kind of like hybridization of many things. And I think a lot of these check-ins come from that. I also really like a check-out. Like check-ins, and then like at the end of the call, everyone has a chance to say like how they're feeling at the end of the call. You can almost see how the call went.
That's a great one. I haven't read about having a checkout, and I'm afraid it wouldn't work in MetaGame because our calls usually run over.
I know. Ours do often too. But one word checkout is what we do many times. It only takes a minute. Like everyone's like, I'm feeling motivated, I'm feeling distracted, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling happy, and then it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, it could be quick. But yeah, in general, there's so much knowledge and wisdom that we could be using. Like, we have this cool technology, but we need everything else too. And people in the space, in general, like the people who came through the space, I guess, don't have much of this background knowledge in like decentralized organizing, holacracy, sociocracy, or even more general stuff like living holistically and I don't know, like systems thinking. But yeah, there's so much that should be brought here because I feel like a lot of DAOs are kind of reinventing the wheel.
It's such a shame when we do that, when we reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we had better bridges. Better bridges between ideas.
You like reinvent the wheel and there'll be like an octagonal wheel and you're like, but this round wheel existed from before, why did we reinvent it octagonally?
Yeah, I know.
The old one worked better, we just didn't know it existed.
This is like I was listening to a podcast a little while ago, the MetaView podcast. I can't remember who you were interviewing. Rick Decibels.
Oh, Rich, yeah.
Rich, yeah, and he'd done like Lumio and all of these like different kind of like it was like holacracy, sociocracy, like organizing communities and all these different things that like, and he was talking about how he's getting back into the Web3 space, and there's like all this tooling that he needs to incorporate, and I was like, wow, man, this is gold. It's like bridging people who are like doing this sort of like decentralized governing systems, and then taking all that knowledge and all that experience is like built on and iterated on, and then just like take what they have and put it in what we have instead of this rebuilding. I thought that was also a really good MetaView. I really enjoyed listening to that one.
Yeah, I think that one's actually part of a new series. I interviewed him and David Ehrlichman, who's also like an OG of decentralized coordination.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear the second one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I interviewed those two, and I was thinking like I've been interviewing a lot of DAO people, and I want to interview more. Should we just launch a series that's specifically about decentralized coordination rather than just trying to cram everything into MetaView when like some things aren't even so MetaView? That's what we did. But yeah, like it would definitely help a lot if we had more people like that. And especially now that we're like still in the design stage of all of these tools, like it's good to know like good processes before you build tools that aren't very useful or compatible with things that work.
Yeah. Then I want to listen to that second podcast now.
Right. We're almost at an hour, and I feel like we haven't even talked about Giveth that much. I mean, we did. We covered, I think, things that you just launched and some long-term stuff. But yeah, is there anything more that you want to share about Giveth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess we did cover a lot of the things sort of throughout the conversation, but I mean, I'm really excited about the GIVeconomy launch. I think like this onboarding of on-the-ground projects into the crypto space and like doing it with a donation platform where the people who give also get something back and then like can participate in this like whole ecosystem of changing and revolutionizing philanthropy, revolutionizing giving to a point where it's no longer just like giving and losing, but rather a point where you're like giving and then you have even more to give, and then like that bubble expands. This is like really the key concepts of Giveth and the GIVeconomy that I'm really excited about, and the economy that as we launched it now, I would just like really encourage anybody who's listening or anybody who's interested in Giveth, if you have a for-good project, to create it on Giveth.io, to apply to get verified. Verification we didn't talk about much, but it's really like we have a type form, and you fill out this type form and you say where the funds are going and how they're being used, and you tweet about it from your account so that we know that you are the person creating the project, and we do a little bit of a background check on the verified projects to make sure that they are providing public good. And then so it's like anybody can create a project, and then to become a verified project, you need to really be proving that you're doing public good. And then so it's like you could create a project, start raising funds, and then donors can donate to the projects that they care about, and then when they donate, they get Give tokens back. And with their Give tokens, they can go into the Give farm, they can provide liquidity, they can stake tokens, they can earn more Give tokens, and then they can use those Give tokens to participate in the garden, come on as a project manager, propose something in the Giveth forum that they want to see through, and then request funding from the Give Garden, from the DAO. Give token holders can vote, and then those projects can build and create an even like larger system that's all aligned with this like ultimate mission of like revolutionizing philanthropy into like a system where everybody's being rewarded and empowered for making positive change in the world. Yeah, and then anytime you do anything in Giveth, with the give economy, you get a give stream. So then over time, you get even more give. It's like when you give, you get more give to give, and then over time, you're just getting more give, and then you can participate even further. And I just would really encourage anybody to start participating and just jump into Giveth and the Give economy. And if you have any questions, to join our discord.giveth.io, and reach out in the support channel. And like our team is super, super happy to bring more people in and to support them. Yeah. I love Giveth, and I'm so happy to be shilling.
All right, that was a great rundown.
Yeah, thank you.
And another reminder, if you're in metagame, you most likely have a drop of give to claim.
Yeah, so check it out at give.giveth, so give GIV.giveth.io/claim, and then you can check out, claim your give drop and start playing.
All right. Great things are here, even greater things are coming. Awesome. All right. This was awesome. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun to talk about Giveth and projects on the ground and the DAO space and all of the many things that come out of it.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Pete.
All right, see you around. Thank you.